Hey, Alec. Okay. Maybe it's the alcohol. Maybe you poured the drinks too much.
Oh, please.
I mean, they are tall.
So?
Oh, keep that up because we got to talk about some country and western here a little bit in the podcast as well.
Then I'm going to have a lot of drinks on that one.
Welcome, folks, back to another podcast of Buddies, Booze, and Banter. Unfiltered conversations.
Buddies.
Yeah, I mean, I think I've had probably maybe one cocktail.
Come on, man. Don't leave me hanging.
A little bit
Buddies.
more. I am Rick.
I'm Michael.
I'm Alex.
Hey, Alex. How's it
Michael.
going?
Man, it's going good. How are you?
Doing great.
I said it before, but we didn't get it on audio. I left the shirt.
No video.
Oh, we didn't get it.
I thank you for the shirt. I mean, for the comment about the shirt.
What do you like about you like a new setup?
Oh, I love the setup.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like I'm in
a pub.
I was gonna say my grandparents' house, but that's cool too.
Ooh,
Well, I say that
that's not a good thing.
Well,
Grandparents?
well, at least the mothball smell's gone.
Yeah. No, I could live in this house.
No,
I
it's a
do.
good house. It's a good house. You know,
Yeah.
There's no doubt. You know,
It's a great house to have guests.
At some point, we'll actually have one of the rooms set up specifically looking like the pub, you know, and, you know, a bar there and things like that. So we're actually probably having a bartender behind the bar. You know, so we'll get there. We'll get there. You know, once we have a ton of subscribers.
A
and,
shirtless bartender behind the bar.
Yeah. Okay. There we go. Anyhow,
And now we got to redo the intro again.
Why?
you know, because this is the kind of like non-paid version of our podcast.
Yeah, we can't be giving away free stuff, man.
Yes. I mean, there's a
I
line
mentioned it. I didn't show anything.
there. Yeah, but it just definitely tells you your deviated mind is. But anyway,
And your point is?
well, anyhow, starting off today, I know that Mike, you wanted to talk about one of your favorite network television shows that has actually finally returned now that the actual writers and actors strike is over.
NCIS. It's been on for over 20 years.
And you've watched every year, haven't you?
Oh, yeah. And it's like you watch it, I mean, on cable. It's like whatever. The shows keep coming over.
Can I
and
ask
over
you a
and
question about that, though?
Yeah.
How many times have you watched each episode?
I don't know because it's just like.
Well, I will say this. Every time I've come to your place, and my good friend Jennifer obviously stays here as well when she's in town, that's the only thing that's ever on TV for 12 hours straight.
Well, it's like because you can watch it. I mean, there's different cable stations that run it.
Yeah, but I mean, if you watched it once or twice, and now
But when there's nothing else on, it's just.
you have 500 channels.
I know.
You gotta
But
find something.
Still, it's one of those where it just brings out good memories. I think it's a great show.
I'm not saying it's not.
I'm a huge Mark Harmon fan.
Yeah, but he's no longer on it.
I know, but he needs to get back on it. But it's like I do. And then it's like the characters have always been great on that show.
All right. Well, let's talk about this new season premiere that they just had.
Well, the key was, and I will also tell you, I saw it twice because I saw it when it
Wait a
was
minute.
live on Monday.
You literally have watched the season opener of NCIS for the 21st season twice, and it's only been released for 4 days.
Yes. Well, because it's like on Monday, I watched it. And then it was just like, okay, so it was
Did you
great.
feel that you missed something?
No, but then I had a friend that came and stayed
And you had
this
to
week.
actually torture her for it too?
Well, no, she watches NCIS.
Well, you two are two peas in a pod.
And
There's no
so
doubt.
then ultimately because it's like she was coming in town because she's my friend Geraldine
Mm-hmm.
and lives in Houston and her nephew Dominic, who I mean loves me to death or whatever, had been wanting to come to Dallas because he's a big on the Mavs, a Luka fan or whatever. He
Right.
wanted to go to a game or whatever, and so he had their school's out this week, so they came Wednesday. So then they ended up going to the game, and so while Dominic and his friend went to the game, Geraldine and I were here, and I said, have you seen NCIS? It's like so then we ended up watching the end of season 20, and then we watched.
Oh my God! So you rewatched.
So we watched both of them.
I'm pretty sure you've probably watched the end of season 20 4 times already.
Maybe because it's like it's kind of come through or whatever. I mean, it was like
You don't even know anymore.
well, because it's just like you just don't know. But it's like the characters. I mean, the show has always been great, and you get new characters.
I will say that when years ago, I did watch a couple of seasons of it. My father's just like you. I mean, he is religiously waiting for that. And obviously I've set him up differently on the television and the streaming and things of that sort. So he is like all about NCIS. So and the original.
It is a great show, and it's like the reason why it's lasted for so long is because you get a change in cast, and then whenever they get the new cast members, they've done really well.
But if you do it in comparisons like maybe Law and Order, which is I think it's like 30 years now, 30 seasons or something like that.
No, not Law and Order. Law and Order it went off for a while. Law and Order SUV's been on a little bit longer than NCIS.
Well, they've actually changed characters here and there too.
I know that's the only way you can get things to last.
I don't think that it's really held its ground because now they're really digging down deep in the barrel of trying to find good storylines. And it's literally, I think the storylines that they're actually utilizing are the storylines that were on the headlines the week before. I mean, literally that quick.
So how did we get off NCIS?
I don't know. Well,
because you're talking about Law and Order. It's like, who the hell cares?
My point is...
I'm into NCIS.
My point about that is the fact of the matter is you were saying that based upon, as they continue to go, they change the characters. I don't always believe that it continues on as a good series at all just because you change the characters.
It's still high rated, and it's a lot has to do is just like that they actually have done great casting on characters here.
I used to work for the U.S. Navy. I never knew NCIS, which is the actual naval policing department of sorts, had that many cases, especially when it came to murder.
Trivia question: what does NCIS stand for?
Navy Criminal Investigation Service.
Yes.
Nice job, man. You win a free coupon for hot wings.
And when the show first started, they called it Navy NCIS.
Right.
Because they were afraid, because at the time is CSI had a lot of shows on or whatever, and they thought they would get confused on that.
Well, they need to delineate between the military and the civilian.
But they said Navy, but it's like calling it Navy NCIS.
Yeah, but again,
is because
redundant. It's redundant for people like you who understand what NCIS is.
The reason why I started watching it because I've been a huge fan of Mark Harmon for a long time or whatever. So it's like doing all that stuff as I watch it, and then it's like you keep watching it, and it's like the cast change.
How many seasons was Mark Harmon on it?
19.
Wow. So he was just peeled off 2-3 years ago.
2 years ago or whatever.
Gotcha.
And it's kind of sad, but it's like the characters are still good. Is like okay, because now my favorite that's there now is the one that plays Nick, Wilmer.
Oh, he's Venezuelan.
He's hot.
Okay, whatever. But
he was the one that was kind of like key in the season opener.
He was the one, but he's the individual who actually played on the 70s show.
Yes.
Gotcha.
Fez.
Okay,
Was
Fez.
it Fez?
Yeah, Fez, yeah. Okay, gotcha.
But
he is a good actor. He's a very versatile actor.
He's also gotten hotter as he's gotten older.
Oh, good Lord. Keep it in your pants. Keep it in your pants.
I'm just saying.
Again, paid podcast. Not free ones, okay?
Okay.
So let's talk about the kind of the really kind of the stunner that's going to happen, and I think it's going to happen this coming Monday.
It's going to happen Monday.
Yeah.
Because it's like they didn't really say anything when they did the previews, but it's like but the actor that plays Ducky died in September.
Yeah, and he was like, and he'd been on there the entire season, right? All of the season. So
he's been on there, but it's like, but in the last 3 or 4 years, he's played less episodes or whatever.
Yeah, well, he's 90, 91, 92, or
he was 90 when he died or whatever.
Great actor, British guy. on stage, on television, movies.
And then he was like the man from U.N.C.L.E.
Yeah.
Back in the 60s.
Yeah, I went back and when obviously I felt that he was a great actor in himself on the NCIS just simply because of the way he presented himself. But I went back in his history to look at exactly what he had done. I was impressed. with his CV.
So it's like, I mean, just being a big fan, the actor died. So it's like, they're going to have to deal with it on the show.
Well, he
did
was
not,
a character, yeah.
They did not for first episode 1, they did nothing. But at the end, there's this call, and it's just like, it was from Jimmy. And it's just like, and even if you looked at the preview, they didn't really say, but you can kind of piece it together that it's like, okay,
well,
Ducky's going to die in this one.
Well, I mean, I think that anybody who's aware that this actor had passed away is aware that they've got to kind of deal with it at some point. But the trailer they have out this coming Monday, I mean, if you know exactly who that character was and you know who Jimmy is in comparison to, Ducky is, I mean, because it was
because you knew it was coming, so
it
it's just
pulled
like
at the heartstrings right away. I mean,
well, because then it's like, okay, because Monday I watched it, I was here at my house at my house, and I just watched it by myself or whatever. So then, last night I was like, okay, so then my friend Geraldine's here, and so we're watching it or whatever, and everything else is, and so then I'm showing it. So I'm telling her, I said, because she has I think she knew he died, but she didn't know that.
Yeah.
And so then we're seeing it. It's like, all right, this is going to be a sad one for next one. She goes, why? And I said, oh, he died in real life. Oh,
that might be an episode that I actually watch, just simply because I thought he was a great actor, and I like the emotional side of things anyhow. But
yeah.
Well, I mean, I'm sure that I will hear more and more about your NCIS over the next year or so.
Of course.
But
it's a great show, and it's been on for over 20 years.
But it was late start in the season because of the strike. So how many episodes are they anticipating this year?
I'm sure it's probably maybe 10 to 15. I'm sure it's going to be less.
We're already in February, mid-February.
Yeah, because they usually start in September,
right?
And so now you're talking about February, so it's not. And that's a thing where it's like you never know, but it's like, okay, you had the strike. Okay, he did die Ducky did die in September, but if there was not a strike, he might have been in 1 or 2 episodes.
He might have died on set.
Well, you never know.
Anyhow, okay, let's move on. I mean, there is one thing that you want to talk about one of your favorite teams.
Oh, the Dallas Mavericks, because everybody knows this. I got season tickets for the Dallas Mavs and the Dallas Stars.
Well, for everybody who's just joining the podcast, he does have season tickets for the Stars and the Mavs.
Not only that, he's got a cool doormat.
I do.
You do have a cool doormat.
I do.
We've talked about the doormat before.
Yeah, but I mean, it has the Cowboys on there.
Well, but it's like, it's a doormat that basically, and I got it for Christmas.
That he did.
My sister-in-law and brother got it for me for Christmas or whatever. But for me, because everybody knows I love sports. Okay.
Are you sure it wasn't just they're calling you a doormat?
Well, could be that you would think that or whatever. But I love sports. I'm a huge sports fan. And so this doormat has basically the top 4 teams of the Dallas-Fort Worth areas. It's got the Dallas Cowboys, the Dallas Mavericks, the Dallas Stars, and the Texas Rangers.
Well, those are the only 4 teams in this area, not just the 4 top teams.
Well, no, because you could also talk about, if you talk about soccer, got NC. But I'm just saying this. But those are the 4 major sports or whatever. And actually, and now with the Texas Rangers winning the World Series this past year, all 4 of them have won a title.
Been a long time for Dallas Cowboys.
I know. And it's also been a little, because the Dallas Cowboys.
Actually, it's been a long time for the Mavs and the Stars, too.
No. Well, because the Dallas Cowboys' last title was 95. Mm-hmm. For the Dallas Stars, it was 99. For the Mavericks, it was 2011, or was it 12? 11.
So the other ones were over 2 decades, and this one's over a decade.
But then,
it's been
the
a long
Texas
time.
Rangers just won it, so they're the current or whatever. Mm-hmm. But this was the first for the Rangers, so it's like they went for a long period of time or whatever. Yeah. But no, sports-wise so far, the Dallas Stars right now. The All-Star break had passed or whatever, but right now the Dallas Stars are first in their division right now, so it looks good. It's looking good for them. For the Dallas Mavs, they kind of. weren't doing so well. But then the trade deadline, they made a couple of trades. But as of right now, they've won. I mean, because I haven't gone to the last couple of games or whatever, but they've won 6 in a row.
I've gone to a couple of the last games.
I know.
And we'll get into why
there
I've
too.
gone to a couple of the last games and
And
he
I
didn't.
haven't.
But I will say, I mean, Saturday's afternoon's game at the Mavs, I mean, from the moment I sat down watching them, they actually had the lead the entire time. I mean, I don't know how often I was on my feet versus sitting down.
And last night when they won game number 6 in a row or whatever, which the Mavs need to win 6 in a row or whatever, because now they're getting their players back and they made a couple of trades or whatever. I mean, they played San Antonio, and so they should have won that game easily, which ultimately they did. But like the first quarter or first quarter and a half, they were down by 14 points. And so
Yeah.
my friend Geraldine, his nephew Dominic and his friend went to the game or whatever, and it's like they weren't happy at the very beginning.
Oh, no.
But then all of a sudden, the Mavs just kicked it in the gear, and they ended up winning by over 30. At one point, I think they were up by 30 points.
I was having a conversation about the Mavs with my father on Sunday, just before I went to a friend's house for Super Bowl. And he was like, "Oh, you went to the game?" I was like, "Well, yeah, they're actually playing well now." I was like, "What I've seen different this season versus last season is that two players in particular are finally being team players. They're not being little babies. They're actually working."
Oh, one of them's still a baby, but he's playing better.
But he's playing better.
Yes.
But I mean, Irving and Luke are finally, doing passing. They're getting assists. They're assisting. They're doing the rebounds. They're not actually out there as prima donnas. And I will say that what I saw on Saturday afternoon, specifically with Luka, he enjoyed the game when he was working with the other team players. Whereas last year, he was just an angry son of a bitch.
Well, yeah, that's true, but then what can I say? It's just like on one aspect, he still plays the baby because he's like every time he feels like he gets fouled, which I'm not saying he's not.
Well, no,
but
he's
it's just like,
animated. He's
but
animated.
Just get over it. Get over it. They're not if the
Well,
referees are not or whatever.
Let me say
but
this.
I will tell you.
Let me say this. No, let me say this about the fouls. He's very animated during the fouls. This last Saturday, he was right about one of those and disputing it.
I'm not saying he's not right.
But it's forced the refs to do a replay.
Well, but okay, it happens every so often, but he does it too often. But the one thing I can tell you about Luka this year is what frustrated me about him last year it's like, okay, free throws are the easiest shot.
Yeah.
You're not they're free. You should make those.
He missed a couple on Saturday too.
Luka typically would make like maybe 50% of free throws, which is stupid because they're just free. You got an open shot or whatever. He can make the hard shot or whatever, but something that's easy and all that stuff is. This year, for some reason, he has made a huge improvement where he is now hitting a higher percentage of free throws.
He's still doing his 3-pointers because he loves those 3-pointers. There's no doubt about it.
But Luka, we know, is an awesome player. And for Dallas, we had Dirk that was the legend here for over 20 years. And then Luka comes in and kind of can take over. And it's like, I'll guarantee you, if Luka ends up staying in Dallas, he'll get a statue outside the stadium like Dirk. If he goes somewhere else, then he won't get the statue or whatever. But with Kari, they brought Kari in last year, and like there was a lot of injuries and whatever. But then I was like, people were surprised Kari was going to stay. But it's like Luka and Kari seem like they've got it down
now. Yeah, you're absolutely right. I agree.
Now they need some additional players, and so hopefully what they did on this last trade is going to kind of help them because they need more help or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But all I got to say is they've won 6 in a row. The All-Star break is this weekend. And so hopefully they're on the path where they can make a huge, big run.
Oh, it's still just mid-season, though, isn't it?
Well, it is, but it's like...
We have some time to go.
There's still plenty of time, but I'm happy that they're going because it's better to win or not because it's like when you're at a stadium and they're winning, things are so much better, so much happier.
Oh, I had a blast on Saturday. There's no doubt about it.
I know, because I give people tickets to go or whatever.
And let's kind of talk about that. Why was I able and fortunate enough to get tickets and invite another friend? Typically, I go with Michael.
He does.
And I enjoy it just as much as anything. But this time I actually invited another friend who I needed to catch up on and that I haven't talked to in probably almost 3 years because of the pandemic.
And it's not me. I just figured out.
Well, because you were out of town.
I talk to you all the time.
You were out of town.
You
I was
did
talking
go.
to you.
You did
And
go
I did,
with them.
and I
I
did
know, but
take
this
you the week
particular story
before.
isn't about me.
I did take you the week before.
I know, but this story isn't about me.
No. And it actually isn't. It's about Michael. And really want to kind of get into the real kind of the reason as to why Mike hasn't been able to go to a couple of the games recently.
Yeah, because I mean, ultimately, anybody that knows me or whatever, last May I kind of had a fall and kind of fell on my left ear and kind of broke a bone in there. And
fractured another.
Are we going to talk about this story?
Well,
Or
not,
is this
not
flip
the
page
whole
description?
story.
But
or
we're not
whatever.
going to go too much into it because it will get on a page
It's a
podcast.
sad, I mean, it's a sad story, but it's also kind of funny.
No, it's a funny story.
Yeah, okay. It's
and,
funny.
and if
like,
I
I'm not-
really wanted to get into it and animate it about it,
come
we would be
on.
laughing for 30 minutes.
I've
But
got
I've also been told that I've got to keep myself in check.
It's fine, man. Just let it out. I don't have to be work till
I
tomorrow,
will
man.
little-
Just go
I
for it.
will later, but it's just like I'm just saying this. But
Give
it's
us a
like,
teaser.
So I had it. So it's like ultimately.
Start
so,
from the end.
So
Start from
ultimately,
the end.
my ear. It's like It's like when you're on an airplane and you feel like you got pressure. Because I broke a bone. I broke a bone in
Well,
the
he
ear. or
broke
whatever.
one completely off and fractured another. And the reason I say that is because I was actually at the surgery hall with him on Friday, and I literally got the photographs that the doctor showed me where the prosthesis was put in his ear to replace the broken bone to attach to the eardrum.
And then Rick goes, Doc, just pull the plug. He's
Well-
like, there's no plug to
Well,
pull.
it's funny that you say that because, I mean, we got
I did have one. Doesn't
Do not resuscitate. You know, the
But
interest-
they said is we don't do that here at this hospital.
But the interesting thing about that is, so we got there about 12:30ish, and the surgery was scheduled for 2. And obviously we waited. They went through all the questions and things of that sort and made sure that I was available and the phone number and things of that. And gets finally rolled in. They called me. It's like, well, we're about to roll him in. I was like, well, it's been 45 minutes since the last time I saw him. They're like, yeah, well, he's about to go in. It's like, okay. Well, and the surgery went on for probably about an hour and a half max,
they said it was probably about 2 hours.
give or take. Well, I get a call from the doctor. Everything went well. Everything that he anticipated was there.
And this is my left ear.
Yeah.
My ear.
And I was like, sounds great. He goes, well, and I was in the waiting room by this time. I actually got back to the hospital. And he's like, the nurse is going to call you or come out there and get you. Okay, no problem. An hour went by. And literally there was nobody in this entire waiting room. And when I say nobody, not even the receptionist. We were the last people in there. And I was like, I kept looking at my watch. I was like, do I need to call 911? Is he not coming out of this like anesthesia? I mean, because I've heard stories about that. And finally I get out there. And of course I get back there. And the interesting thing about it is he's there. And of course, he's all groggy, playing that little card, which is fine. Which is fine. I get that. He's done that one other time before when the actual incident happened. And then we have 5 nurses literally standing around him, waiting for him to get his blood pressure and his breathing up to a proper level to release him because
I'm
they're
breathing through the thing.
They're like, we want to get the hell out of here. And they're literally coaching each other on, have him do this, have him do this, have him do this. And I'm just laughing. I'm just like, oh, this is funny. This is funny. But he finally got out. Everything went well. So, but now back to you. Why you went to the start? You haven't gone to the games.
Well, no, because you went off on a tangent and everything else, which you
because
wanted
it
to
was
talk
more
about.
interesting.
But it was just like for me
we need subscribers, man. Come on.
Oh, boy.
But it was just like my
One more
ear,
cocktail, I will go there.
But it's like my ear it's just like I'd broken a bone in there,
Two.
and so it's like the hearing is kind of dissipated or whatever. But then it's just like when you're on an airplane and you feel that pressure. That is what I have felt like since May. And it's just like you blow your nose and it opens up a little, but then it would close right back out. And so the doctors was probably saying it was
So
just
it's called pressure on your ear.
But some doctors were saying it was probably just a sensation of just not being able to hear anymore. Well, it's like I agree with that.
Well, that means that would have been
And to
damaged.
a point, but if you blow your nose and you hear it kind of open it up a little and you can hear a little better and everything else is.
Well, I mean, if there had been you couldn't hear damage to your hearing, that would have been the eardrum.
I know.
But apparently the eardrum wasn't damaged. It was just the bone that attaches to the eardrum.
So I ended up so I ultimately had surgery to try to correct it because I knew there's something wrong in there. And so basically I had surgery on Friday. And so now I'm in recovery, which I'm doing fine. The doctor seemed to think it went extremely well.
Very well.
But then there's some games or whatever, but it's just like, so I didn't go. So I've been giving tickets away.
Yeah. Thank you.
You're
I've
welcome.
appreciated it.
And other people kind of think it too because they love it. They
had a
love
great
it when
time.
I give tickets or
Had a
whatever.
great time.
Yeah.
Took care of the bartenders and everything. In fact, you gave me a really good compliment, man. That really meant a lot to me. It was like, because remember how I took care? Mm-hmm. Like I paid it forward.
Yeah,
Paid
but
what
I paid
forward?
But I gave him more.
But without asking, I was like, I don't know. I gave him.
Well,
I don't even know what I gave
that's
him,
because
but
I
it didn't matter.
told you what we do.
Yeah, well, and I get it.
We have the comms, and we tip them very well.
Yeah,
And you had the
I didn't ask, though.
$37 in your pocket, and I put the other 40 on the credit card.
Now, for anybody that's just trying to figure this out or whatever, it's like I've got bartenders. I'm in the club level at the American Airlines Center. So it's like I've got my own bartenders. They know me. They see me. They know what drink to pour. They just see who I'm with.
And the same with me. I really feel privileged now.
They see who I'm with just to know what's the other drink they
Yeah.
need to pour or whatever.
Yeah.
And so then ultimately, then it's just like we treat them really well. I mean, really well.
Well, they're good guys anyways.
They are.
I mean, we know their life too. So I mean, they obviously commiserate.
Yeah,
and
that
things
doesn't
sort.
work everywhere though. I was in Vegas and there was a bathroom attendant, and I'm
that's
like, I'm with Michael, and he just looked at me.
Well,
He was probably
but
thinking you needed
it's
something
like
else.
if you be there more often, because it's like I ultimately have a suite night once a year where it's like I invite 24 people and we're in a suite at the American Airlines Center, and it's like I supply the food, but I do not supply the booze or the drinks. So everybody's on their own.
No, everybody buys him a drink to the
but-
point. That's why he doesn't drive at night.
but it's one of those things are it's like everybody goes to my bartender get the drinks, and so my bartender already knows them, and so my bartender makes a killing that night.
That's a good night for Gus and his partner. There's no
Yes.
doubt about it. There is no doubt about it.
Yes. So it's like I hadn't gone to a game this week, but at least we got plenty of more games to go or whatever. But it's just like so everybody gets the benefit. I give them the tickets, and everybody loves going.
Yeah, and I'm kind of glad you finally had the surgery and kind of thinking.
So am I, because the pressure has just the pressure just is. It's like if I have to get a hearing aid, fine, get a hearing aid. But it's just the pressure, like when you're like on an airplane and all that stuff.
Well,
that has just bothered me.
What I want to
big
kind of
time.
describe is when we were in Mexico last year summer, and we were on that boat. I mean, to the point where you couldn't even just deal with the rocking back and forth, and that
is not me, because
No.
like I love being on boats. I love the bouncing up and down.
Well, it's
I
like
love
you had
roller
vertigo
coasters.
of some
Oh
sort.
yeah, it was, and it was just like I was just like I never had felt this
Yeah.
in my entire life. So this is taking me for a ride or whatever, and it's
But
like I
what
don't like it.
But what I will say about this, and obviously this is one of my soapbox issues, is he actually had this issue back in May of last year. He went through a series of appointments, and the ear was the main problem along the way, but the healthcare system really fucked him. I mean, in order for him to actually, he got bounced around to different individuals on the different hospitals here in Dallas, finally to get to a specialist who did a scan and then had to do another scan, and then, oh, well, I don't do the surgery. I have to go to this doctor and this doctor. So, the fact of the matter, he knew there was something wrong in June, and he had finally a surgery in February. I mean, this is where our healthcare system is. So that's my
Now,
soapbox.
I mean, one aspect it does suck, and then plus it's like last year.
And he had to pay a shitload out of pocket.
Well, last year it's like okay, I paid a lot because with the insurance and everything else is, and all that stuff is, and you have your deductibles and everything else is. Well, then
Well, that's the other thing about it.
It took forever to get the other appointments, and so then I crossed another year. So
And now he hasn't met his deductible again.
So now I got to meet my deductibles and have to pay all that stuff again. or
So in
whatever.
December, it was determined that he needed this surgery. But of course, we're on vacation. So now he actually crosses the calendar year. But he had met his deductible in December, like way back, and now he has to start over again.
So
You've paid your deductible again already.
I did. And so it's like, but at least I now saw where it's like I had the surgery on Friday, but it's like, it's not until today I looked online again today. So it's like now my insurance has showed. So I've already met my deductible and I'm almost close to my maximum out of pocket or whatever. But to make the long story short or whatever, my ear is still packed with, a lot of stuff. So I can't hear anything out of it yet because it's still, they packed it or whatever. And then I've also got to put a cotton ball in it or whatever after I put the drops or whatever. So it's like next week, the end of next week, I will end up going to the follow-up. So I think they might take the stuff out. So my fingers are crossed. It's like, all right, the hearing might not be the greatest or whatever.
I'm looking forward to you having a hearing aid.
But it's just like I don't really care on that. I just want the pressure to go away because the pressure is
because you are kind of an asshole with that pressure.
That pressure is the one that's kind of like your equilibrium and all that stuff.
Well, he's also used as an excuse to basically look at you blankly and say, "What?"
Well, no, I've said what my entire life, and anybody that really has known me for a long period of time, because it's like I don't pay attention. So it's like my mind will be thinking about something else. Somebody will be talking to me, and it's like, all right.
He's thinking about the shirtless bartender.
Well, okay, that could be the case too, or whatever. But it's just like then somebody will say something to me. Well, it's like I heard him say something, but I wasn't paying attention to what they said. So I've always said what.
And the funny thing about that is,
and I got away with this for a long time until somebody kind of figured it out, and then started telling everybody. And so everybody says, "Oh, now they know."
His friends of almost 40 years and I were texting on Friday about this. They're like, "Oh, well, you mean he won't be able to say what anymore?" Yeah, exactly.
No, I'll still say it because it's like, hearing it or not, my mind will still go towards something else. Because if I get bored, my mind just kind of wanders.
Well, let's talk about something else that we like to hear. And obviously on Super Bowl, we had some great commercials, but there was one specifically with Queen Bee, Beyoncé.
Okay.
And obviously, I forget what was the brand. I mean, it was actually pretty good, actually. I mean, the whole kind of premise behind it. But in the commercial, she obviously indicated that she was dropping another album here in March. What I like about it, and it's kind of like I want to see how it's received and accepted, it's a country album. Beyonce's doing a country album. So she's got 2 of the songs already out, and they have a good beat to it. I mean, I can, obviously you can really say, it's Beyonce, but there's also kind of like 2 sides of the rose of what they're really talking about it. Obviously, the people who've been, her fans and followers forever are, especially because they're not country and western fans or haven't been, they're kind of like, oh, why would we listen to that? What is she trying to do? And then you have your country and western fans who's like, well, let's talk about where the actual premise of country and western came from. It came from the black slaves from Africa, and so the whole kind of historical perspective of it, she's bringing it full circle. And yet, so when we talk about, hip hop and R&B and everybody who likes country and western, and they have like, oh, I don't like that. And we always question discriminatory and things of that sort. It's done reverse now. So it's going to be very interesting to see where that niche happens. Now, do I think that it's an opportunist drop of an album? Probably so. Because you've got somebody like Taylor Swift.
This is all about money. Who cares about...
Well, she's a billionaire. Who cares? But where Taylor Swift went country to pop, now back and forth. So it's just interesting that I'm not sure. I've heard both songs. I'm not sure if I'm like 100% loving them yet. But as I hear it more and I see more people dancing to it and hearing the historical perspective of it, I kind of like it, but I also like the controversy around it.
No, you love the controversy.
I mean, because now it's kind of pitting like opposites against each other again. And, if there's anything that I can say about Beyonce, she likes to keep it edgy. She likes to keep it out there. And this is part 2 of the series of part 3 that's going to happen. So we don't know what's going to happen 1, 2, 3 years down the line of this entire process of the series that she has. Maybe she goes into another genre.
So she wants a country western music award?
I think she probably just wants Album of the Year award. Which, as her husband said, Jay-Z, she hasn't gotten it after 33 Grammys. But
she still hasn't?
She has not gotten Album of the Year at all.
And Taylor kind of sets the record with what, 5?
4. She
4?
has 4. She
So
has
that's
the
the
most.
record?
Yes, she
That's
has the
the
most. Yeah, because as we indicated, the individuals behind her is Tony Bennett,
He's dead now, so he's going to get no more.
Frank Sinatra,
He's dead, so no
and,
more.
and Paul Simon.
He could.
Well, I don't see him doing any music anytime soon. But I mean, yeah.
Well,
that's
but
fine.
if they did it with Garfunkel, they could. If they did a reunion album, that would probably win. Has the possibility.
I don't even know that if Paul Simon's voice is good enough anymore.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah, well,
It's just like you bring out that reunion or whatever. People, it's like, do you think Sinatra was great at the end or whatever? No.
actually, I think Sinatra always was great.
There was.
I mean,
at the end,
but it was a certain style that he had.
No,
that
I'm not saying he's
suave,
not
sexy.
But
kind
I'm
of
just talking
Brat
about
Pack.
his last 10 years is like, no, it wasn't or whatever. But it's like, and
He was drunk all the time.
well, but it's like you look at this, it's like with the act, I mean, all these that have been along for a long period of time is we don't really care. Look at Elton John. Elton John is a legend. And it's like, he goes to concerts, and he has concerts, and everybody's going to go.
How
But
did we get to this point? I mean,
I don't know, because you started.
I was on Queen Bee,
Well, but
so I'm going back to Queen Bee.
I was bored with it, so that's why
No,
I
we're going back to Queen Bee.
All right, go.
because obviously when she announced the album drop, she also announced a tour.
Okay.
So I'm kind of curious to see exactly
ain't
how
going.
this. Well, I get that. I mean, that's fine. I mean, first of all, the tickets are ridiculously expensive. I'm sure. I mean, I think they start at like $300. But my
Which
point,
is ridiculous nowadays.
and if it's a country and western album tour, she got a bunch of white trashy people that can't afford that either. So
Yeah.
I'd be kind of interested to see how that happens. But I'm curious to see the cities that she hits and what the playlist is on the actual tour itself. But that also gives me the point that I want to talk about tours. Obviously, Taylor's doing her tour right now. She's actually in Australia. And just kind of as a trivia.
well, she was in Vegas this past weekend.
She was. But then she flew out the next day to Australia. And she landed, I think, well, actually the day after. I think that she landed yesterday or something like that. But one thing that I actually found very interesting, and it was a bunch of radio DJs who actually brought it up in Australia, is like, well, yes, one of Taylor's planes has landed today. Just for her wardrobe. And one of the actual DJs is like, that's gangsta. That's gangsta. And I mean, that's just classic. There's no doubt about it. I don't know how many jets she had to bring to do the show, but my point being is she's still on her Eros tours. That goes all the way through until the end of the year and beginning into New Year's.
Well, her boyfriend can join her now.
Well, it's rumored that he will probably join a little bit of that actual, Asian, maybe even Australia tour. Who knows? But
he will.
But then she actually bumps over to Europe for quite a bit of time too. So we'll see how that romance continues on there. But with her tour going on, Beyonce dropping the fact that she's going on tour, obviously Justin Timberlake has dropped that he's going on a tour, and now all of a sudden today was announced that J-Lo is doing a summer tour. So everybody who is trying to take advantage, I mean, I don't know, we can't afford all that crap, can we? I mean, that's like over $1,000 just for one person to go to concerts.
I mean, they're doing it.
Yeah, well.
And it's like I went to concerts all the time. I still do or whatever, because with my thing at the American Airlines Center, I do get. But it's like I haven't been. It's like
No, the last ones we went to was actually, I think November of last year, because we had the Ricky Martin and Enrique, and then we had Queen.
yes,
Yeah, so those were the last
I would
ones.
have loved to go see Queen. That'd have been fun.
that was awesome.
Yeah, that is a bucket list, and I probably can't do it again. I mean,
Yeah.
I really loved it. I mean, one, because, the bass and the drummer will probably be dead soon.
Yeah.
I mean, they're well into their
Oh,
70s.
Are they still?
2 of the 4 are the original.
Okay.
They're
2 of the
still
4 are the original there. Obviously, Eddie Mercury's dead.
Right, but who's the other guy? The guitar.
Adam No, that's the bass player. I mean, he's
Okay.
And then you have the drummer.
Gotcha.
The lead, obviously, is Adam Lambert.
How did he get that job?
They selected him
Nice. Okay.
based upon his actual audition from American Idol.
Because he used to be. Adam Lambert. And then
He's still Adam
He is.
Lambert.
No, he is. He's good.
He still tours on that. The interesting thing about it is he actually did Bohemian Rhapsody on his audition for American Idol.
Galileo.
They saw it and they're like, we need to talk to him.
Nice.
Because obviously they've been looking for somebody to take over that,
Yeah.
Eddie
lead
Mercury.
vocals.
See,
And
that's what I did that for my resume. Nobody called me, but that's fine. That's another conversation.
yeah, that's a different conversation. Yeah.
Galileo.
Tone deaf and all that.
Galileo.
So we got
But no, it was an amazing concert and all that stuff. It was reasonably priced or whatever. But it's like you got these people now are paying $300-$400 for a concert. It's like really.
Well, how much was Kelly Clarkson in Vegas?
Kelly was $150 each, I think. So $300 for two.
I mean, the key.
That's reasonable in Vegas.
Yeah, I didn't think it was. Well, we actually got
And the
upgraded.
reason
Because
Kara talked to me about that one. But what I will say that the reason I say that's reasonable is because Jennifer and I wanted to go to Vegas in the coming months for Adele. Mm-hmm. I'm not paying $4,000 for a fucking ticket.
No, I'll tell you what, give me $83. I'll sing to you. And you can call me Adele.
Concerts right now, as long as they're, if they're under 200, okay, that is reasonable. Anything over 200, you have to be an amazing superstar to get that.
What was your first concert ever?
Boston.
Garbage.
What year? Well, I'm going to go ahead first.
What year?
Yeah. I don't want to age you. I'm just saying. Which you will, but.
1977?
What was the cost of your ticket?
Huh? I have no idea.
What do you about?
It was. I mean, today it would have been really cheap. At that time, it might have been expensive or whatever. I don't know.
That, but
I have no idea.
10, 15, 20, 50?
I don't know.
So you had to garbage?
Yeah, I went to Garbage.
What
Shirley
was your
Manson.
ticket price?
Oh, shoot. I don't know. I have no idea. My parents took me.
You know what year it was?
I mean, I was probably 16, so 84 plus 16 is 2000. Is that right?
Yeah. So I went to my first concert in '84, which was
just coming out.
which was the Go-Go's, and St. Petersburg Bayside Auditorium sorts, and it was. I mean, I was never I don't want to go to concerts like all my friends did and all this. Obviously, I got a very eye-opening experience on that, and we can talk about that on the paid podcast because Belinda Carlisle gave me a hell of a view with her pencil skirt, but that's a different story. That's a whole different story. But I think that I went with a group of friends, and I think I paid maybe $20 for it, and I thought that was expensive. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's just crazy. Now we are. If it's under $200, it's a good price.
I've had my AAC tickets for over 20 years or whatever. And so with my tickets, it's like every time concerts come, I get the first option to buy tickets or whatever. And so it's like great concerts and everything else I have is or whatever. I can remember, maybe this would have been maybe 10 years ago. I lose track in time or whatever. But like when some of the old ones that have been around for a long period of time, Fleetwood Mac was one. That was the first concert that I can recall where I paid $150 for tickets. And that was unusually high, but the group was just been around forever.
And you'll never hear them again in concert.
I wouldn't be surprised. I think they might tour again or whatever.
No, isn't one of the members who passed away, and they said they never do it again.
No, one of them did, but it's like
they said they would never do it again.
No, I can't say that because it's like,
wow.
But it's like, but the concert tickets in the last 3 or 4 years, some of them have just gone outrageous. And it's just like, these names that are $200 or $300.
Yeah, but let's
forget
be honest. That's about everything in the United States across the board. It doesn't have the entertainment. It could be restaurants. It could be groceries. Everything's gone up.
I get it. But
everything's
gone
up.
But it's like, no, it's.
I don't know how a family of 4 can live in the country, and survive.
But it's like, and I can't remember.
And
it's
eat.
like, but Usher's coming or whatever.
Yeah, no thanks.
Well,
he was one of the other ones who actually said he was doing a concert too.
Well, and it's like Usher doing the Super Bowl or whatever and everything else he's coming to the American Airlines Center. And I think they've opened it up for 3 concerts. I don't remember how much
3
the
nights?
tickets are. 3 different nights. Start out with the one. And so it's like usually if it sells well, then let's do a second. And then I think I got the notice where it's like they're doing a third.
You know why he's doing a concert?
Well, he did the Super Bowl, so I'm sure that's why.
You know how much he was paid for the Super Bowl?
I don't think they get paid for doing
Nothing.
that. Yeah, because it's like supposed
Zero.
Yeah, because I thought it's got to the point where it's like
It's a $1 billion day, and the halftime entertainment is paid zero.
But then supposedly they.
Well, he dropped a concert. Everybody's talking about Usher this week, so his name is up there. I mean, I get it, But then you ask, I was like, well, why hasn't Taylor Swift done it when she's been asked 3-4 times? Because she's making billions of dollars somewhere else. Let's be honest. I mean, it's all about taking your career and propelling it higher or becoming relevant again.
Well, and used to, I mean, what was it? Halftime shows at the Super Bowl.
That's where you are? Oh, wow.
Halftimes at the Super Bowl halftime show was not a big deal until 92.
Who was the entertainer in 92?
Michael Jackson. I was at that Super Bowl.
Yeah.
I watched that the other day on YouTube.
Nice.
I mean, how he went up on the sign, was at the very top of the actual stadium, then all of a sudden shut up from the stage in the middle of the actual stadium.
Because the year before,
I analyzed how the hell did he? I was like, that's an imposter.
I mean,
because
the year before or whatever, if I recall the year before or whatever, again, it might have been Fox or whatever, just started out as being a network, and it's just like they basically had this new show or whatever, and they basically told the world, it's like during the Super Bowl when it's halftime, come watch our show because they were gonna time it right or whatever. Watch our show, then you can go watch them. And it was like it worked out great or whatever. And then I guess the NFL finally came out and said, "Ooh, no, we cannot have this or whatever."
well, no, you're going to lose some viewership. To come back.
No, so you did or whatever. But so then that's where then ultimately they paid big bucks because then the next year they got Michael Jackson to do the halftime show.
Well, apparently that performance set the precedence to what it is today.
Yeah.
So, well, that's interesting. Well, I mean, obviously we've talked about a lot today. We've talked a lot about you. Your ear, your NCIS.
And the point is,
well, sometimes I'll give you that.
Some people like to talk about me.
Yeah, you.
But besides me.
Well, we do appreciate everybody spending some time with us today at Buddies, Booze, Banters, Unfiltered Conversations. This is Rick.
I'm Michael.
And I'm Alex.
See you next time.
All right. We'll see ya.